Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Podolsky Method podcast. This is Ilya Podolsky. I'm a USA Hockey Level 4 certified coach, lead instructor for the Junior Rangers, CPA, owner and operator of a ski sharpening shop called Sharp Ski in New York, and I'm your host and creator for the Podolsky Method podcast. And today I have a special guest here with me, Nick Schaus. And Nick is a professional hockey player. He played all over the world, actually, which, Nick, when I was looking at your profile that you sent me, it was amazing. Norway, Germany, Austria, Czech Republic, Russia, China. I mean, you've been everywhere. And Nick is also, a youth hockey coach. He has his own Shaus Hockey Development program that's recently developed. So, Nick, I would love to kick it over to you. Maybe you could just talk a little bit about your background, where you come from, and what this new Shaus Hockey Development program is all about.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I know we connected maybe about a month ago. And yeah, I've been looking forward to speaking with you. I checked out the podcast, and it seems like you've had some pretty affluent hockey professionals on the show, which is great to see. And yeah, just about myself. Like you said, I played in multiples of different countries, and had to was fortunate to experience lots of different cultures and ways of living, and just a great experience overall. Getting to play at the highest levels in some of these countries that maybe a lot of people here don't really know as much about or aren't as familiar with. But then the other side to what I've been working on is the player development side of things, and I have quite a few players ranging from little kids, 5, 6, 7, just starting to skate, to professional players that work with me. So we have a pretty wide range, pretty much the widest that you could have. But it's a lot of fun to give back to the game and be a part of the game in different ways. And like you said, I'm not sure yet if my playing days are quite done yet. We'll see here soon, as the summer rolls on, and things start to get going again overseas.
Awesome. And Nick, you're in Naples, Florida, right?
That's right. Yep.
So how's the hockey scene there in Florida?
It's interesting. Myself coming from Buffalo, New York, and growing up in a pretty big hockey market city. There's a lot of players, a lot of kids that have that dream and that goal to someday put on an NHL sweater. When you look at things here, with the success of the Panthers and the Lightning, obviously close by, hockey's definitely alive and well and growing. And I know I'm sure you've seen some of the players that Florida's produced over the last number of years, and continues to trend in that direction of being a place where hockey players can reach high levels from too. Here we have there's only one AAA organization out of the state, the Florida Alliance. So that's kind of the benchmark for kids to see kind of where they stand, as a part of the Florida group of players. And some very talented ones at that. And then you also have a lot of people that come here on vacation, or looking to stay on the ice and just keep up with their game. So there's kind of an ebb and flow here of different sorts of people, and people from all over the world. We have people here from Czech Republic, Russia, Germany, Canadians, and all sorts of different people with different backgrounds that end up maybe moving here or are here, on a vacation basis.
Awesome. And so, Nick, maybe you could talk a little bit about your background and growing up, and being an athlete and a hockey player, more from a perspective of what role did your parents play in your development as you were growing up, and why hockey? Why did you end up choosing that sport?
Growing up, like I said, in Buffalo, they're kind of the place where everyone wants to play when they get it, and they want to be Sabre
Nick,
someday. And they were always super supportive of me playing hockey, and trying to strive for what kind of goals that I had as a player.
Nick, I think you're breaking up a little bit. Your
Can
connection,
you hear me? Okay.
your connection is breaking up a little bit. Let's see if uh, it's a little bit laggy. Nick,
Yeah, let me check it quick.
sure, sure. While Nick is working his connection, I just want to remind everybody to check out Wargate Hockey, sponsor for the show, and their full bottom cage mask. If you're looking to pick it up, here's the link for Amazon. You can buy it right off of there. It's great protection for your face. I use it. Excellent product. So make sure to check them out. Hey Nick, are you back with me? Sorry, folks, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties here. Nick, I think there's some sound coming through now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. It, it's kind of in and out. Any luck, Nick? We'll give it a moment so Nick can reconnect. Still having some difficulties here with the connection. Oh, there's some sound coming through. And let's give Nick a minute to reconnect. Again, while you guys are watching, if you have not seen this morning's podcast with Theo Fleury, you guys should definitely go back and check it out. Just a wealth of information. He's amazing. Just a wonderful podcast. Had such a great experience talking to him. about his NHL career and growing up. How adversity impacts you and just the things that he went through to get to that highest level. So definitely check that one out. Let's give it a moment for Nick to reconnect again. While we're waiting, just a reminder again, how is hockey tape? You can use my promo code Podolsky10, PODOLSKIY10, to get a 10% discount on anything from Howie's, which is great. So please have a look and see if there's any gear or anything that you'd like to pick up. All right, looks like Nick is coming back online. All right,
Yeah,
Nick,
we're
you're
back, I
back.
think.
All right,
Yeah.
yes, I think you are.
Okay.
All right. I think we were talking about growing up and your parents' input into your development.
Yeah. My parents they didn't play the sport, but I was lucky enough to had athletic background. My parents both played sports growing up, and were familiar with how sports are. And it was something where they wanted me to play sports if I chose. And obviously, for me, hockey kind of chose me in a sense. I grew up kind of playing outdoor hockey as a kid, and then got the skates and got signed up, and just kind of went from there. And then there was a group of us that I played with from the time I was maybe 10 to 15. Um, you know, the guys. There was probably 5 guys that played Division One college hockey off that team. 2 or 3 guys that played pro. So we had a really good youth team, and we had a good coach, and um, that made a big difference. When you have other players that are competitive and want to get better with the sport, and then you have a coach that kind of helps grow that passion. Um, that's kind of how things can go for kids. But going from there, like I had a lot of coaches that were influential in my development. Um, not just teachers, but we also went to guys like Daryl Free. I'm sure you've heard of, maybe around hockey circles, that works with some NHL players. And Pat Kane was a kid that was close to age and me as I was to me, and a good friend of mine, and we skated a lot as kids, with a lot of other really really talented hockey players. So for me, being from a place where hockey was something that people were passionate about. I just kind of fell in love with the sport, and for me now, it's about being able to give back those experiences and try to help players grow and reach their own personal goals.
Awesome. And Nick, so what was it like, playing professional in Europe and, traveling all the time and when you made the decision to go overseas and play abroad, what kind of effect did that have on your parents and your family?
Um, well, for me, they're kind of used to me doing the hockey thing from being away. I moved away to play junior hockey at 16, and moved to Omaha to play in the USHL. So it's difficult, I guess, at first. Being away from things that you're familiar with, friends, family. Your favorite restaurants or whatever it is. But um, you know, as for me, I've always been someone that likes to experience different cultures, experience different things, and grow as a person. And for my parents, I know they supported that. And yeah, um, we my dad never missed a game though. Made sure he was always. Back in the day, it was all just radio broadcast, and now you have like these the leagues of you can watch the games anytime from anywhere. So it's pretty cool how he's been able to watch and be a part of that, even if it's, I'm not with them all the time.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Just the being far but close. Now with Live Barn and all those tools that you
Yeah.
have, when you have multiple kids playing the sport, and you're at one rink and your other kid is in a different rink, you could catch both and even download clips and post them on social media or share them with the rest of the family, and everybody else who doesn't get to go and experience the games regularly. So, Nick, what's the biggest difference between playing in Europe and playing in North America or American hockey?
Yeah, there's a huge difference in the mentality, the style of play. I mean, you're talking about, the kids there, they grew up playing on a bigger sheet of ice. A little bit different mentality behind the sports. In those countries, the main sport is soccer, and that sport's, a lot about passing and movement and having ball skills, and a lot of that is the same in hockey there, where they really put an emphasis on being effective skaters, you know, playing with your teammates and playing as a unit. You see that with Russian hockey players, Czech, Czech and Slovakian, Swedish, Finnish. Like that's just the way that they're brought up to play the sport. I think that in an identity aspect, USA Hockey's done a really good job of growing some of those intangibles and incorporating them into their philosophies and methods. Yeah, it's a different way of training and going up there. I'm sure, as you know, but there's great hockey players that come from places that you would never expect, right? So that's what's so awesome about our sport and exciting is you see guys coming from places that you would have never expected and becoming NHL superstars.
Yeah, no, it's amazing how different that is. I actually happened to travel to Stockholm, Sweden, and Moscow, Russia, and I went to a couple. I went to a Djurgården game in Stockholm, and then CSKA game in Russia, and it was very different. Just the tenacity was different, and uh, looking at the big rink and this Olympic size, it's just a little bit bigger, but there's so much more space, and I felt like some of the physicality of the game was not lost in that space, even though looking on TV, you sometimes think, oh, there's not as much physicality, there's not as much hitting, it's a little bit more space of skating. But look at it live; these guys go hard at each other. I mean, it was intense. Um, yeah. So
Yeah.
from maybe we could talk a little bit about intensity perspective and what that's like from here to Europe.
Yeah, I think the players that play in North America, there's a lot of rules and regulations behind what they're allowed to do at the NHL, AHL level, as far as training is concerned, and just the way that the organizations are run. So in Europe, you get a little bit of different side to that, where um, you're there longer, the practices are longer, and there's more of an emphasis on training. But that training emphasis is mostly geared towards their younger players. And, as an import player in Europe, because as you know, like these countries only have some of them have regulations on how many North American or foreign players that they can have on the roster. Um, you're there to help them kind of get over the top, right? You're like you're there to fill that void of maybe they don't have a goal scorer here and they need a goal scorer to come in and help them win and provide that extra kind of sprinkles on top of the ice cream, so to speak. So Yeah, being an import player is a lot of fun, and all the places that I played, the players that are from those places and live there, they always do a great job of helping, you feel comfortable, helping you learn about their culture, and helping you feel like you're a bit of what their every day to day life, which is really exciting and fun, and something that a lot of people, um, I'm sure they should to get that opportunity to experience that at some point.
That's awesome. And so, growing up in this space and getting ready for the professional career, how did you manage those expectations, like your expectations going into the next level? And did you always play at a high level, like AAA levels of youth hockey, or did you kind of start at a lower level and then kind of work yourself up?
Um, I don't think that there's. Me personally, I did play at a high level, um, pretty much from the get go, and that was kind of based off of like the word that you used before this question, and that was like intensity. And I think for me, that was something that I always brought to the rink and brought to the ice, and something that definitely helped me throughout the course of my career, and I kind of made that a part of my identity as a player. And you see players or kids or any player that for that matter, when they walk in the rink, do they walk in the rink ready to go, or do they walk in the rink and their shoes are untied, right? So like when you prepare prepare for hockey or prepare for anything in life, what you got to prepare to do your best. And for me, I always try to leave it out on the ice, and then let things take care of themselves, um, as far as whatever that is, as far as making it to the next level, or trying to do that. But for me, I tried to take it on a day-to-day basis, and think about the players that were out there, that what they were doing to get better, and made sure that I didn't try to leave a stone unturned, so to speak. So and and that goes for a lot of the players that make it to a high level. Like, there's a reason why they are where they are, and it's not just because they're talented or skilled. They also have that intangible that they want to be the best and they want to stay at that level. And you see that with these guys that play, in the NHL, the superstars. They're always trying to get better. They're always wanting to like find that edge, keep that edge over their competition. So that's a part of the game that isn't really, you can't. It's an intangible that you can't really put your finger on. But I'm sure as a coach, when you see the players they come on the ice ready to go, they're excited, and they want to get better and they want to have fun. Those are the kids that that get the most out of it.
Yeah, and to your point, the dedication that it takes to get to that next level. I see there was a tournament we went to. It was a AAA tournament, and we went with a team that was kind of a mixed team, and we lost. And the kids that we played against were amazing. And the parents came up to me and they were like, "Hey, why are they so good and better than us, for example, in these areas of the game?" And as I spoke to the other coach, they practice 5, 6 days a week. They have all fights 3 times a week. They're always together. They eat breakfast together. They work out together, and that's the difference. It wasn't a magical formula that they brought to the table that the kids were just innately better. There were a couple of kids that were probably gifted, but the whole team just had this crazy work ethic and opportunity to put that to work because their local rink provided that kind of attention and allowed them to skate. I think one of the things that we have at my rink where I coach in Brooklyn is that we have so much opportunity with sticks and pucks and skills coaches and team coaches to go on the ice and skate and play and practice that the development is just exponentially faster. I think the organization produces, I'm not even talking about the junior levels, but and the guys who go on to play D3 or D1 college, but even at the younger levels, kids moving up to AAA levels, not just within the organization, but also to other places. It's pretty unbelievable. And so, talking about that kind of growing up in a high level competitive hockey space, it always comes with a compromise and being able to balance your education and your home life with your training. So maybe you could talk a little bit about how you did that and what worked for you growing up.
Yeah, I think that that's a challenge for any athlete is figuring out, what how hard to push it, what you need to be doing, um, and kind of what works for you. I know for myself that as a kid, I kind of just followed the trend as far as I like to be at the rink. I like to skate, so I would kind of just put myself out there as much as I could from an off ice perspective, and I think that this is a huge one for any younger player or any player that's hoping to get to the next level is that off ice component where it's not just about getting bigger and faster and stronger, which obviously everyone needs to be focusing on, but the day-to-day maintenance throughout a season or throughout just time in general that you need to stay on top of keeping yourself strong and feeling good, not just physically but mentally too. So I know different players have different ways of doing that or having like an outlet, so to speak. Um, so that they can make sure that they're most prepared when they come on the ice to play. So um, yeah, I think that, but that that piece that we had talked about the being competitive and wanting to get better, it just kind of comes naturally um, for uh, for those players that that it's their passion. So, I mean, if you're passionate about something, then you're gonna put the time in on your own and try to figure it out. And it might not be right all the time, but putting the effort in is something that you're not going to get any worse from doing. So yeah, like as far as the coaching stuff, I think it's great that there is that now, and we have that, and I see how players are advancing, like you said, and learning new skills and becoming more creative within that. But it's still a piece for me that the hockey sense piece, where watching the game, being a student of the game, and trying to understand patterns and what sorts of things that make what makes Sidney Crosby effective, what makes Austin Matthews an effective player, and it's not just the finishing move that they score. It's all the things that they do all over the ice that make them, a special hockey player. So, for me, that's something that I try to really impress upon my players is finding players that you game similar, and really player. There's something that you can take from when you're watching, because everyone has got different skill sets and try to incorporate them into your own practice.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned something in terms of um, the development it takes to get to that level as well. So earlier when we were talking, I think one of the things that I noticed is that when somebody makes it to an NHL or they go on YouTube and they want to see Crosby or Ovechkin or somebody stick handling, for example, you see that glimpse when it worked out. When you stick handle around 30 pucks, you remember the Patrick Keane video where he's stick handling around like all the pucks on the ice and it looks great and everybody's like, wow, look at his hands. But nobody sees the 100 times where he messed up, where he was doing that and it didn't work, you know. And I think
Yeah,
that's the
yeah. I
point.
remember. It's funny
Go
you
ahead.
bring that up because I remember as a kid, we used to we would get like some dead ice, at certain rinks, and Pat's dad would come out, and I remember Pat would just like stand there back door and just try to like touch pucks in perfect every single time, forehand, backhand, working on those skills, and you see him score goals the same way, and like for myself, I've seen the same thing where I put the time in to practice the skill, try to understand where I can use it within the game, and then execute that. So that's where someone can teach you a skill, but until you understand how you can incorporate it into your own skill set inside of a game is where the magic happens.
Yeah, so maybe we could transition a little bit into who was your most influential coach, talking about working on those skills and working on these areas of the game. So I know you had a huge career from youth hockey to professional hockey in Europe. Has there been one coach that stood out to you, and what stood out about their coaching style?
Um, it's a great question because I've had the opportunity to play for some really great coaches when it comes to the team stuff and everything. But for me, skill wise, and I guess this is you know an easy one would be Daryl Belfry, who he was a skills kind of coach as a kid as a younger guy, like kind of around our age, I'd say, and then was working with all of us, and then you saw where Pat was able to get to the level that he accomplished, but it wasn't just Pat. There was Nathan Horton, Jamie Tardif, other players that were a part of that group, and for him after that it just grew for where he was able to work with more players, but just the going into practice, I think that this is a huge component of it, would be what you said about that energy or intensity, and like sometimes you get players and kids that they're maybe more introverted, they're maybe more quiet, and when you have the kids that are more outgoing, but you still need to bring the energy to practice as a coach and be on them and make sure that they're doing things the right way, and make sure that that energy that you bring as a coach is kind of getting pushed into them, so they know they need to do things faster, better, quicker, stronger each time that they're on the ice. If they're just going through the motions, they're not going to get better. You have to push kids and push players outside of their comfort zone, in order to see results. And sometimes that's
Great.
uncomfortable for players. Like nobody wants to go on the ice and fall down and look silly, but as a coach, if you take it step by step and tell the player, okay, like I want to see that, like I want to see you struggle here, I want to see you push yourself outside of that comfort zone with your feet or with your hands or with your turning, or keep your head up within this play, because those are the things that you need to be able to do if you want to keep moving forward levels within the game.
Yeah, and I also find that a big struggle is not just the kids being going through the motions and not getting to that intensity that you want to get out of the comfort zone, as you mentioned, but also the way that the parents react to the kids falling or the kids failing on the ice. It's almost like sometimes they look at them and their expectation is either too high or too low. And it's rare that you see actually somebody who's kind of supportive and in between. So how do you manage that parent relationship when they are looking onto their kid and the kid fell and they start yelling at them like, "What are you doing? You're this, you're that." And as coaches, unfortunately, we see that quite a bit.
Yeah, for me and the players that I work with, like that's kind of one of the things that I established right away. Right off the bat, is that like this isn't going to be easy and it's going to be difficult, and you know, um, yeah, that's just a part of it. And I don't really have an issue where, or haven't had an issue where parents have unrealistic expectations of their player, but like this is one piece that I think is important, and maybe that parents could learn from, is yeah, and I'm sure you've kind of seen this or experienced it, is in Europe, and that's one of the nice things about Europe, is that for me as a hockey coach, if you're going to be coaching someone or teaching someone something, you don't really want the parent there. You want that experience to be between the player and the coach. And sometimes I think it's better if the parents really aren't there, or they're there for the beginning and then they pop out and then they come back. I think that giving the coach the room and the player room to grow that trust and grow that bond is an important factor, outside of the parent. Like they need to be able to have other people that can be there in their corner, help mentor and grow their game. And that's a part of it. Like in Europe, in European cultures and teams, a lot of these coaches are staff coaches, whereas in North America you see a lot more volunteer coaches, and in those countries the parents really don't really have any sort of voice really. So I think that there is a nice piece to it in America or Canada, where because the parent can be involved, but I think the parent has to have the right posture going into it and understand that the respect has to be there between the player and the coach, and the parent and the coach, for what they're providing, and the communication about what they're trying to accomplish as well.
Yeah, that's such a great point about the difference in culture. And I remember in even talking to one of my friends who played professionally in Russia and in Europe, and there was always that intensity about the coach, and what the coach was kind of like God on the ice, and you didn't get to question uh, the coach's decision. And there would be a tryout with 3,000 kids standing out the door, and they would pick, the top 30, and everybody else gets to go home. So if you're upset about your kid's ice time, or you're upset about something on the ice, the coach would be like, okay, next, next guy coming. I think it's a little
Yeah,
bit different
yeah,
in North America and in Canada, where maybe Canada there's a bigger selection, but I know like in New York City and in Florida, I think when we're looking at the players, we try to accommodate almost everybody who wants to play. I just think that the lines get blurred a little bit sometimes in terms of the level of play and where you belong, and that creates some adversity. And so I kind of wanted to shift a little bit into talking about adversity and player trauma as growing up, because I think that everybody who does professional sports or any sports growing up, there's uh, overcoming trauma, whether it's physical or mental, in terms of your game and your development, failing, right, and getting back up again, and the diversity things going against you, and people saying, I hear it all the time, my kid's never going to play in the NHL, my kid is never going to do this, never going to do that. Say, how do you know? He's 7, he's 10. How do you know what your kid's going to do? He's got all this time to develop. So, what's your thoughts on uh, parents helping their athletes overcoming such adversity?
yeah. It's a good question. Adversity is something that like you can use in two different ways, right? It's something where you can feel it, or and have it become something that affects you in a negative way, or you can respond to it in a positive way, and use it as motivation. So like for example, you can just take for example two players, right? So the kid that got cut from the team that he wanted to make, right? That's adversity right there. So what's he going to do with that? Is that kid just going to say, well, fold up the tent, see you later. I'm done. Like, I'm just going to turn in my hockey bag and my skates and hang them up. Or does he say, okay, well, maybe I'm a little bit pissed off now. Maybe I'm going to go and like start, taking things upon myself to go and get better, and put some extra time in. Maybe that's working out and in the off season, or doing extra sprints, or stick handling in your basement, or trying to watch players clips on YouTube, right? There's a lot of different ways to get better. Is he going to do that, or and then you have the player that made the team? Well, that's only for 1 year. So what are you going to do within that season to make sure that for the next season that you're ready, right? So we always are facing adversity. There's always players that are coming up behind you that want those spots, and players within that organization or within that team that want ice time. So, like that's a part of hockey, and responding to it, that part of it, I think that comes with, making sure that you're not leaving any stones unturned. Are you making sure you're getting enough rest? Are you making sure that you're putting some extra time in on your own skills? Even if you can't get access to a skills coach or something, there's a lot of ways to do it today. You have Zoom, you got all different things that you can use as tools that's out there now, where when I was a kid, we didn't have any of that, right? We still had wood sticks, and we're playing outside street hockey. Now you got these synthetic ice rinks and all this different stuff, right? So I think all the tools are out there for kids now, and it just comes down to their own will and what they want out of the game. And everyone has their own trajectory as far as how it's gonna go for them. Like the kid that's maybe really big and lanky and doesn't really have his coordination yet might end up being the kid that's the smoothest skater and plays 10 years in the NHL. You don't know, right? So I don't think anyone should be counted out at any junction of the journey. I wasn't drafted in the NHL personally, but did I know that I was in that realm of players? For sure I did. I was playing against a lot of them, throughout different portions of my youth and junior level. But when it came to the point when I was in college, and I said to myself, okay, I want to try to play pro, and I want to make that step. That was when I had to put extra time in the gym and try to do more and outwork, the other players that were doing that, and that goes every day, every single day as a player, is a day to either get better or stay the same. So, that's why for me, hockey is a cool thing where you really see people, it brings a lot of emotion out of people in a positive way, to see kind of what they're made of.
Yeah,
And these things that, oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
No, yeah, it just shows, like about people's, what they're willing to put into something, and I think for the kids, everyone isn't going to make it to the NHL, but those kind of intangibles bode well for any adult and any person, and I think that hockey provides that unique experience throughout it, and I see that with players every day here, that I work with. So it's definitely cool to be a part of players' journeys, and as a coach myself, that's my goal, is to help them have the best experience that they can have, play with the best players that they're able to play with, and to be as successful as they can be.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I grew up practicing martial arts, and I have a black belt in Taekwondo. And one of the things that my master always told me, is something that kind of transcends every sport. And exactly what you just said, where you have two types of people. He would say that you have a guy who's better than you, and you could say, "Oh my God, he's so good! I'm never going to be like him. I quit." Or you could say, "I'm not as good as him yet, and I'm going to go and do everything I can to beat him. And if I don't, it, I'm gonna get pretty close, and that kind of mentality puts you in a different realm of consideration. If you look at guys like Sidney Crosby and Ovechkin and Yager, and the work ethic that these guys bring, we only see them in games and again YouTube situation where they're kind of skating around, scoring top shelf goals or hitting bottles of the net. But their work ethic and the time they spend in the gym and practicing is unbelievable. Some of them are on the ice twice a day, in the gym another 2 hours. So one of my friends who's a bodybuilder who was on the show and is actually coming back in a week as well. He's a professional bodybuilder, and the amount of work he puts into building his body and being that athlete is astonishing. It's a full-time career. It's hard. It's not easy. People look from the outside and say, "Oh, this guy makes a lot of money. He's a professional athlete, whatever, whatever." But they don't realize how much work it actually takes to get there. So I think for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
next step, yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts on that work ethic and what you did in getting into the pro, and what was the difference between the youth development and the pro jump that you mentioned earlier. What was the biggest change there?
Yeah, I think you see it with youth hockey and up until really junior hockey. You have parent involvement, and you have a lot of different things that there's a different teams to play for. There's still options, right, to be a part of hockey. Whereas, like you said, and you touched on it earlier about other countries and how like they line up the kids at the door, and the top 30 are going to play on the hockey team, and that's the way that it is in those places. Whereas here, like, and I think it's great. You have a place to play for a lot of players, and hockey is a great sport, I'm telling you that I think that everyone should try hockey at some point, just because it's a great sport to play, and and but the difference between you know being an amateur player, a player that just enjoys it, and a professional athlete is extremely drastic. Like, you got this becomes like an everyday thing where you're showing up at the rink, you're doing a workout with your team, you're doing extra drills to try to get better yourself. You're practicing every day, you're on the ice every day, and then you're trying to eat well, sleep well, recover well, and try to maximize your own personal abilities. And it's awesome to see what some of these players are able to do, and still stay at the peak of their performance. But the NHL does provide a lot to the players, but it still is on the players to do it. Like, I've heard stories of players and seen it where there's a high draft pick, but he's lazy, right? He doesn't want to work out that much. He doesn't get it yet. So they're trying to push him along, but it just doesn't click, right? So everyone's different in that way, and that's why like I mentioned it earlier about the trajectory. People shouldn't just get, our parents or players sometimes get stuck on, or I need to be at this level at this time. I need to be here, at this tournament, and if I'm not there, I'm out. Like, and that's not the case. Is like, and I can tell you from experience that the time that I put in, getting extra reps, doing like pushing myself, skating and pushing myself off the ice, was what made me a better player. It wasn't just because I got to go to this tournament or that tournament as a kid. Sure, it's great to compete, but at the end of the day, it's what skills you have yourself. So I think it's great for kids to play other sports, be involved in other things, and it's just going to make them a better athlete at the end of the day too. And if pro hockey's in their future, that's going to come from them, and that's going to come from what they are willing to put into it, and no parent can do that for you. So you can help foster that and help grow that, and grow that, um, you know, preparedness, dedication, attention to detail. And I think that those are the things that parents should, definitely be aware of with their athlete. But let the coach the team. You just worry about, okay, yeah, if Johnny isn't getting 20 minutes on the ice and he's only getting 12, well, how can Johnny get 20? Is it because maybe he isn't getting the puck out at the blue line? Is it because he's not hitting the net on his shots? Is it because he's not getting back to play defense? And these are things that within the game that the coaches need to teach them, and explain to the parents. They don't necessarily need to explain to the parents, but it's important for parents to learn hockey too alongside of this, right? So they can help with those things too. But as a coach, it comes down for coaches, and sometimes this is how it is. You don't get the coaches that you have in that area, or what you get offered. And I just don't think it's enough sometimes. So, if parents can look for other ways to help their athlete grow, then that's great. That's great. So it doesn't have to be $1 million that you're spending on like private lessons or this and that. You can do it in a lot of different ways and, have fun with it too. It's great. I love taking my son. I got a 5-year-old. We go outside and, I just we play a little play catch with the puck and do little things and play little games and play mini sticks, and that's just as fun as playing a professional hockey game for me. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that people should just spend more time enjoying the sport and making it a part of their life, right? Like, be a hockey family, so to speak, when it's hockey season, and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, absolutely. And something you mentioned, actually, I got a chance to talk to and coach with Adam Graves and Jeff Walls for the Junior Rangers programs. And one of the things that they both said is that, hey, we used to go outside and play for 3, 4 hours just with our friends. They grew up in Canada, but they would go out and they would play in their friend's yard and there was rinks available, or even in the street with ball hockey. And then they would run in, have dinner, go outside and do it for another 3 hours. So it was just not just the coaching that got them to those high levels of the game. It was really just being outside, having fun with the game, and enjoying it. And so, actually, a coach I coach with, we tried to organize a weekly scrimmage for the kids, where kids could just come in and play for an hour or two. We go on a bench, we rotate them, and we give them a little pointers on where to go, moving the puck up the ice, and things like that. So it's like a coach scrimmage, but it is a scrimmage. It allows them to just play and have a lot of fun. I think that we missed that a little bit in the development. And I did want to put this up because you did mention about getting kids to try hockey, and New York Rangers is a great place to start. I think that a lot of NHL organizations have this, but the Rangers have the learn to play programs, and local our Aviator Sports also has a learn to play program locally as well. And Nick, I'm sure that you have one in your rink as well, where kids can go in under $300 with the New York Rangers. You get full gear, you get 10 lessons, and you get to try the game. Uh, it's very cost effective.
Yep.
You see if your kid likes it, and then you could progress into the organizations learn to play and things like that. And the Rangers are actually running summer camps now. So if you're interested, it's newyorkrangers.com/camps. Check them out. They're in various locations on Long Island and around the city. So make sure you take a look at that. Nick, do you have something similar over at Naples with the Panthers or one of the NHL organizations, or maybe just a local rink program for the learn to play kids to just start getting into the game?
Yeah, the Panthers and the Lightning both offer those programs throughout some of the rinks around here, and then, like you said, we have a youth program that does some of those things that you had mentioned. So, yeah, that those things are great to get a start in hockey and get some equipment, get on the ice, and get to skate with alongside other kids, learning the game, and it's a lot of fun, So, yeah, I definitely support that, and all the kids in the New York area should definitely give that a shot. Give me 1 second. I just gotta grab my charger though. Okay.
Sure, sure. Take a moment. Yep. While Nick is setting up the charger, just again reminding everybody about Wargate Hockey. Make sure you check them out. The If you haven't seen my episode with John Dre and Loic from Wargate Hockey, go back and listen to it or watch it live on rewatch the live feed on YouTube or Facebook. It was really great talking to them about safety and really exploring the space of injuries and how not having a shield actually impacts your playing style and it impacts the way you play the game. I got a wealth of information that not necessarily have thought about in terms of a guy going down to block a shot when he doesn't have a face protection. He may hesitate, especially at those younger levels, and when you're getting into some of the junior level hockey and collegiate hockey. So definitely check these guys out. All right. And Nick, are you back with me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, perfect. So, what's the thing I kind of want to touch base on before we go into some of the uh, show ending attributes? I want to talk to you a little bit about fear and how that plays into a player's development. I think that fear is a huge component of the game, and there's somebody, I forget who said it, that um, I guess being fearless or is not about not having fear. It's about having fear and overcoming it and doing it anyway, despite the fact that you feel that way. So, how has fear creeped up into your game and your development? How did you combat it as you progressed through the junior levels and then professionally?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I think for me, for that word fear, I think that people look at it maybe like in a sense of what they are afraid to maybe push themselves you know out of their comfort zone, right? It's something that people get stuck on a little, and you know I think that as far as hockey is concerned, when you kind of focus on the process of what it is that you bring to the game, and what is your foundation skills. Um, those are things that you can fall back on, right? So we all have these foundation skills at each level. You have kids that can skate, pass, and shoot, and those are the skills that you want to continue to develop. So once you have those, it just becomes okay. Now within the game, okay, where does my game fit, and what are the things that make me a successful player, and what are those, and what kind of things like is am I going to do in the game that are going to have the greatest chance to success each shift, right? So if you're a big strong centerman, right? Like you need to focus on the little things like that are going to make you a good player each shift. Staying on the right side of your check, winning your one-on-one battles in front of the net, trying to making sure that your sticks on the ice. So those things are things that come easy, and that are already there, and then the rest of it is kind of decision making, and those are things that like over time you can learn from video, and you can from scouting reports and being prepared, um, you know for what you're going to be facing each game. But as when it comes to you know, I think this is one thing that I try to impress on my players is like you have kids that go to these different tournaments each summer, and when you go into different situations, it's good to try to get something out of each situation. So if you're going to go into a tournament, let's say you don't know the coaches, it's just a throw together tournament. Okay, so how are you going to build that coach's trust? Within the time that you're in that tournament, is it going to take you 2 games? Is it going to take the whole weekend or is it going to take you half a period to show, okay, I'm here and I'm ready to make an impact? The second part of that, and I think that this is a huge one for any player, is being a good teammate, and learning and being and making it important that that you assimilate yourself with the group, right? So that you come away, you make friends, you make connections with the people that you're playing with, because as a player, hockey isn't a sport that you can just play yourself. It takes being able to have chemistry with other people in order to score goals and have success.
Yeah,
So for
absolutely.
as the fear is concerned, I don't know. I didn't really ever. I didn't really. I focus for me. I more, you can like tilt the axle either way towards being afraid to fail, or kind of excited about the opportunity to compete, because it's you're not going to win every game, you're not going to lose every game, but it's kind of what you bring to the table that that shows like your character as a player. So I mean, like you said it earlier, Ovechkin, Crosby, Kane, like these guys, every play that they make isn't perfect, but they compete every shift. So if the nation is that you're competing and you're moving your feet and you're trying to get in there on the puck and you're working hard and you're talking on the ice and you're communicating and you're doing those things, then you're going to have success eventually. And then once you have success, then just build on that success
Yeah, I think that makes absolutely great
and on the
sense.
things that you do good, try to add little pieces along the way.
Yeah, yeah, it's like building blocks. It's like creating a little puzzle piece in your development.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I know we're coming up on the hour here, Nick. So I usually end the show with three questions that I ask every guest to build out some trends that we can ultimately share across the board. So, first one is, what is your favorite quote or motto that you live by?
Um, Favorite quote and motto I live by. Hard work beats skill if skill doesn't work hard.
Love that one. Yeah, that's a great one. Second question: can you share three things that you would suggest that every parent does when raising their athlete? And it's not just parents; it's also coaches and peers. It could be anybody really. It, Parenting to me is a verb, and so anybody who contributes to the development, what would be the three things that you wish they did?
I would say make sure that every time you go to the rink afterwards, that your player gets ice cream. Um, I, I would say make sure that you're enjoying the journey of hockey, because it's a short window of time, and it's something that you want to enjoy and not make too stressful, because at the end of the day, it's still a game, and just fostering that love and passion for the sport, even if that means that that person ends up playing in the league or beer league someday, and enjoying that time that they get to be on the ice is still special. Um, and then I would say trust your coaches. Um, let them coach your team, and let them help drive the ship, but just be a supporting factor your peers, um, and just try to impress upon your player to just get better each day and be the best teammate and the best person that they can be.
Awesome. And the last question here is about what motivates athlete and what motivated you as you progressed through your hockey experience.
What motivated me?
Yeah. And what do you believe motivates athletes as well?
Yeah, I would say sorry, the connection was bad there. Um, yeah, for me, it was always never. I had this told to me as a kid, and I was a defenseman, and just was that a good defenseman never gets beat twice. So for me, it was just always wanting to keep the puck out of my own net, and helping my team help my team give them the best chance to win hockey games. Um, yeah, just having that pride that your record, that name on the back of your jersey represents a lot of people that have help give you the chance to be a hockey player, even if that means that you're just a peewee or a squirt. Your parents are taking you to the rink. Honoring the fact that they're giving that opportunity to play hockey or play any sport should be motivation enough to any athlete.
I love that. That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Nick. Again, I want to thank you for coming on the show. I think it's so invaluable, the information that we provide through this podcast and as well as through our coaching experiences. As we become better coaches, coaching is just like everything else. It's a skill, and we learn how to share and educate by working with these kids and the parents and the organizations with each other. And one of the reasons that I started this podcast is because I wanted to be the best coach that I can be and learn from a lot of people like you and people who experience the game from all different walks of life, and not just hockey, but athletes in general. Because I think again that these skills really transcend um, being an athlete and what it takes to get to the highest level of whatever sport you're playing. I did want to have a couple of final thoughts here on something that you mentioned about putting yourself out there and really not letting fear hold you back from doing what you need to do, and how big the off-ice component is in child's development, specifically in hockey, and bringing that work ethic to the game and to whatever sport you're doing is key to success.
Yeah, no, the off ice part of it. Um, you see the it's the kind of started back when you had these guys that were the athletes that started lifting weights and became more of like a bodybuilder, lifting heavy. You saw these guys like Darian Hatcher, Lindros, Scott Stevens. These were guys that I watched as a kid, right? Just these big, strong, like just men, playing hockey, and I think that that's changed now, where there's not quite as much. I mean, I can't say that there's not, because when I watched the playoffs, it's super physical, and to be able to sustain and that kind of level, it takes a lot, right? So, um, I would look at it more as teaching kids the basic fundamentals of body mechanics first. How to run. Some kids don't even know how to run the right way. Making sure that they're using their arms, and all these things translate into hockey, right? So when you're skating, you want to have arm movement and the right posture. And even just doing squats. I remember hearing stories about Yammer Yager as a kid. And he would. I grew up on a farm in Czech, and he'd be doing 1,000 squats a day. I'm not telling you that every kid should be doing 1,000 squats a day, but like we talked about earlier, just putting extra time in to yourself. If you're a lighter kid, you need to eat more and make sure you're getting those calories so you can gain some weight and some muscle, and doing some, if that means push-ups and sit-ups at night before you go to bed, um, it's gonna help you in the long run. And when you get to that point when you're a teenager, and you're able to start lifting weights, doing it the right way, making sure that you have a professional teach you the proper movements, and that you're doing hockey specific, training and workouts. And a lot of this stuff is available. Like I said, like you can find stuff on the internet, and different professionals. I know a friend of mine, um, Jeff Lavecchio. Actually, he runs a gym out of St. Louis, and he even offers hockey workouts through an app that he has, at a really really low cost for athletes to be able to do workouts, on their own in different places. So yeah, I think that the off-ice part, and playing other sports, and just being an active kid, is important. Not getting stuck in front of the video games too much, and trying to be outside, and we have summers coming up, so hopefully people will be able to get out more, and kids will be able to get out more and have some fun.
Awesome. And I'll definitely, sorry, I'll definitely take the opportunity to come visit you. My sister-in-law lives in Naples. Shout out to Victoria. She's a real estate agent. So if you're looking to move to Naples, you could DM me and I'll put your contact with her. But we got to visit Naples 3 times over the course of the last year, and it's an absolutely beautiful place to be. Beautiful beaches, beautiful weather. I love the heat, so even though we play on the ice and we're always cold, so yeah. But I'll look forward to next
That's
time
one
I'm
of
in
the
town.
that Yeah,
Go
next
ahead.
time you're in town, give me a shout, and yeah, we can get out on the ice, and you come check things out.
Yeah, I would love that. Thank you so much, Nick. Again, thank you for jumping on the show. I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll get another one going in a little while and continue the discussion.
Cool. Thanks, Coach Elia. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And yeah, let's talk soon. And everybody, if you have trials coming up, and but make sure you're putting that work in this summer.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and see you guys soon.